whole message here is that to talk about it at an early age. If somebody came into my school when I was younger and shared how I felt as a kid and gave me a solution that I was able to talk to somebody, not maybe my parents, but somebody else about what was going on, maybe that could change the direction of my life. Because it only takes, have you ever heard that story? It's like, oh my God, I had like 4 or 5 beers at a party and I drove home and I killed somebody. That is a change. Your life will be changed for the rest of your life. Does that make sense to you? So what we're trying to do is for you to stop that and make a different change. Because it only takes one time to do something that can make a critical pivot point in your life down a destructive road.
I learned my lesson, you know. It's just came down to a point where I felt hopeless and I wanted to throw everything away. Like I wanted to become homeless almost. You know, I wanted to throw away my house and my car and friendships and girlfriends and all that stuff and just rely totally on alcohol, and I was comfortable with that. So you know, today I'm glad that somebody was there to help me out, you know, like Danny and other people like this that are up here that, you know, that they've gone through the struggle and they know how to get through it, and that's how they help people like myself out.
Fast forward up to a year ago, I had been mistreated by men. I had been bullied. I still, even around town, like in Starbucks, I would get told I needed to go on diets, that I needed to lose weight, that I needed to look a certain way, act a certain way, talk a certain way. And when you're told who to be, you're starting to think you personally, as you are and as you were made, isn't worth it, and that you're not lovable, that you have no purpose. So I ultimately wanted to die. And I remember March 4th, 2016, always will, because that is the day I was going to commit suicide. And before I was going to go through with committing suicide, my friend had ended up calling me, and I just felt like I should answer the phone call for whatever reason, even though I just wanted to end my life right there. And he had invited me to church, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to listen to what these people have to say. When I'm done, I'm just going to go through what I had planned in the first place when I get home. Well, when I went to church, StopB4UStart was speaking there, and I was just like, okay, I can't relate. It's all about drugs and alcohol, and I can just disregard everything they're saying. But they had a guest speaker there, like any one of these guys, that were expressing their story and how they got to a point of feeling worthless, they had no purpose, and that they wanted to die also. And so I'm like, man, I really need to get help, because this is not a healthy way to think. I know there has to be some reason I was in this place. And so I had reached out to Danny, and he got me connected, which is ultimately what I needed, was connecting to people with similar stories to me so we could encourage each other, get through it together, and kind of like guide me where to go, because I honestly had no idea where to go.
But all I wanted to do was feel different. Somehow, whatever what was going on inside of me at your age, you know, I'm like ancient. I'm about ready to die, and I'm in here trying to talk to you all. So I can't imagine you could possibly relate to me. But anyway, I was your age once upon a time, and so I started on my journey of getting high. And you know, some of my highlights were, you know, I was a high school drug dealer, something you probably all don't aspire to. But by the time I was 22, I was living in a hotel, and they were stealing the air conditioning units out of it to go sell it for scrap iron. So drugs, you know, like pot, led me to harder drugs. And what's amazing is that at 22 years of age, I was able to get sober. And I'm 52 now, and I have almost 30 years of not drinking and not using. And what I can tell you is that it's been a great life. I've had a lot of opportunities that I never would have had I not been able to get sober. So I just wish you well on your journey. If you can get anything out of what I just shared, awesome.
A lot of the times when I was hanging out with people, they would start introducing me to different things. And that started with cigarettes. And I remember the first time someone had it, and I was like, no, that's gross, you know. My grandma died of lung cancer. I never want to smoke a cigarette. And then they're like, well, I mean, come on, like everyone else is doing it, just try it. And I was like, okay. And that was the first time that I did something that I promised myself I would never do. And that was a really big moment in my life because I always thought that I had really good morals and values, and I thought that I was a good person, you know. Growing up, I was in honors. I really cared about school. I really cared about my future. And eventually, when those different things happened, like say my first time that I went to a party and someone offered me a drink, I didn't even have a second thought about it. I said yes, said it was okay, and then it was kind of a switch from there. I knew that I loved to drink. I thought it was a great escape from life, from stresses, and so I went off from there. You know, I thought that it was a cooler, better life. My grades started to slip. I didn't care at the time. Now, if I was in your position, I would care a lot more. I would go back, definitely. And I say that to you guys. They tell us not to really, like, regret your past, right? But if there was one thing that I would do, it would be to pursue my future in these classrooms. Because I was smart enough, you know, I was a smart kid. I could have gotten a scholarship. I went from straight A's to not caring about anything else except for my friends and, like, going to parties because I thought that's what I needed to fit in. And it's not true at all. Like, you guys have such bright futures ahead of you. And I want you all to understand that, like, the desire to fit in is not greater than what you're doing in that moment. Especially if you feel like you don't want to do it. There's no problem with saying no.
My senior year in high school in 2013, I had a scholarship offer to go play Division I football for the University of Oregon, and I also had a scholarship offer to play for Rutgers. You know, and because of my addiction, I wasn't able to go play football because I loved doing drugs more than I loved, you know, making a career for myself in my life. You know, so that was more important to me than, you know, than having a career. You know, when I was y'all's age, I wanted to be in the NFL. You know, but you know, it went out a different way.
I was a blackout drinker, which is where you drink so much that you don't remember what you did last night, or you pass out. And I became a full-blown meth addict at 14. I remember the first time that I tried it, it was in the library bathroom of my high school, the public library. And I had heard so many rumors about, like, kids my age having heart attacks the first time they tried meth. And I asked the friend that was introducing it to me, I asked her about that, and she's like, you could die crossing the street to get to school. You could die doing this, and kind of peer pressure, you know. And I was like, okay. I was drugged with a date rape drug. Someone handed me a beer, and I thought, oh yeah, I want a beer. And next thing I know, I'm waking up not knowing where I am or whose clothes are on me, and it's really scary. And I was like Alyssa kind of mentioned, I was too afraid to ask for help or tell people, and so that made me want to use more drugs and alcohol so that I could numb that. And I ended up getting pregnant at 19, and I didn't drink or use, thank God, during that pregnancy. But as soon as my son was born, I started to drink and use again. And I lost custody of my son, and my son is my world. And that kind of made me want to change my life, like, for real this time. I really hope that you guys can, like, take something from our experience and our stories and not follow the same path. But if you do, there is like a solution. Just reach out to people and ask for help.
I was playing college baseball, and then I tore my shoulder. I had shoulder surgery, and I got a bunch of prescriptions for pain pills, and it was just pretty much a wrap after that.
I played varsity football. Back in high school, I had 3 Division I scholarship offers to Auburn, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt, along with the fact that I had 3.7 GPA. But, I mean, I did a lot of cocaine. And partied a lot.
You know, like my cousin, I have a tattooed here. He was killed 7 years ago by a guy who was drinking and driving, fell asleep at the wheel, put the pedal to the ground, and hit my cousin doing over 100 miles an hour. They were stopped at a red light, caused a 10-car pileup. 2 killed, 18 hospitalized was the title of the article in the newspaper. The guy's doing 25 years in prison right now because of that. And, you know, I always despised that guy, and this all started for me innocently taking painkillers. And I was like, oh, you know, he was on alcohol, cocaine, Xanax, and heroin. He's a dirtbag, you know? And 7 years later, I turned into that guy. I didn't kill anyone when I crashed my car, thank God. But that could have been me, and I could be doing 25 years in prison right now instead of, you know, a few months in county jail, which isn't any better, but, you know, I'm not spending the rest of my life in prison.
I myself, I have overdosed a couple times. The second time I overdosed, I was dead for 6.5 minutes. The paramedics had to bring me back to life. I actually woke up to the paramedics saying, dude, you were dead for 6.5 minutes. And, you know, at the time I was like, oh, that's pretty funny, but it's, you know, it's not funny at all. Today, I've always been a people person. You know, I joked around in school a lot. I would get in trouble for, you know, making people laugh all the time. And that was kind of my thing. I love being around people and helping others. But my drinking and drug use put a stop to that. It turned me into the complete opposite person. I was a complete jerk, a complete selfless jerk when I was drinking and using. I didn't care anything about you. I just want what you had, and I wanted it now. And I wanted all of it, actually. But that's not who I am. I love helping people, and today I get to come and talk to you guys and share my story. Like, if I could reach out to one person, that's, you know, that'll make my day.
Like, it's so innocent doing a joint at a party, right? So innocent. Like, he did it, and look at him, and then, like, I'm gonna do it because he did it, and then we've been friends for like 8 years, and we know each other. Let's just do it. And it's so innocent. He walks away from it. He gets, wow, I want to do more of it, and then you know, he's not here anymore. It's just, it happens so fast. It's so innocent. And then and alcohol and the pills and the meth and the cocaine and the opiate, they're so progressive, like so fast, right? Boom.
I'm sure they gave you a prescription to deal with the pain. What do? I mean, looking back, you got addicted to a prescribed medication, which is, you know, killing our nation.
Like, what do we do
what
now?
What do you do instead? Don't take them? Like, hindsight, would you go back and just not take those meds?
Yeah, I would personally. I wouldn't take the meds. Honestly, you could really get by. I think with Tylenol and ibuprofen, and it's not anywhere close. They're not addictive at all compared to any kind of opiate painkiller, like in Percocet, Oxys. You know.
I'm someone who's very like in need to be in control of my body.
Oh.
And so the second like I lost control, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Like, and then I get paranoid, antsy, like. I just didn't like that feeling. Some people like that feeling though because they feel like they're escaping from everything. They're either going through, feeling anything. I just didn't care for it. And I've been through a lot of health issues and a lot of pain pills.
And I remember those feelings of I need more, I need more. That wasn't my drug of choice. I liked uppers, I liked cocaine, I liked Adderall. I started taking Adderall in high school. It was like my study drug whenever I needed to get through finals or anything like that. That was definitely my gateway into cocaine. And I eventually went back to Adderall because pretty much Adderall was like prescribed meth, especially if it's not your prescription. So if you don't have ADHD, I don't recommend taking it.
Throughout high school, playing football, I ended up getting a back injury. I was out for the season. That's when I got hooked on got hooked on opiates. You know, I was taking Percocets, which is oxycodone mixed with Tylenol. You know, and so I was taking those. I would take like 4 or 5 at a time. You know, and then I'd run out. I'd be hurting, so I would go to the streets. You
I was about to buy them, and I couldn't find them. I ended up buying heroin.
You get psychologically addicted, like meaning like you don't like crave, you like crave it and like want, and like you don't feel right if you don't smoke weed that day. That's how it happened to me. And like when I stopped, I didn't eat or sleep for like months. But yeah, that's a gateway drug, I think, in my opinion. It led me to harder drugs, doing Xanax and acid and alcohol and all this stuff. So weed's no joke. And the stuff they have nowadays is like 10 times stronger than it was back in the day. Yeah, they have wax now and stuff. So it can really screw you up. So just be aware of, you know.
At 8 years old, I went through a traumatic experience. My stepdad had an allergic reaction to medication, and he tried to kill my mom and I. He shot at me, and he cracked my mom's head open, hitting her with a gun. So I went from being like a social butterfly to being like afraid of everyone.
When you're given a prescription from a professional, medical, licensed person, you believe in what they are prescribing.
Yes.
And now we need to really question that. And you as 14-year-olds, that's hard to question the doctor and also the parent that's going to be the one going out and buying that or getting that, filling that prescription and saying, this is what the doctor is telling you to take. What this group is saying is, empower yourself to have a say in what that is.
Been bullied? Been bullied? No. Have you been bullied? 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 How does that make you feel when someone bullies you?
Not good.
Not good, huh?
And honestly, you guys, if you ever get bullied to that point, or like even at all, and you're questioning whether you want to take your own life, you need to reach out to somebody. I don't care who it is, friend, parent, adult, anyone you can confide in, because one, you're not alone. A lot of people go through this. A lot of people are bullied and they're quiet about it, and that's something I would change. I would have opened up to someone. I shouldn't have just let that one individual affect how I thought about everyone, because not everyone is the same. I want people who are bullies, even though you may not know it, your words can kill people. It's killed 10 of my friends, and drugs killed another 20 of my friends. And honestly, at 21, I never thought I'd have lost that many people. I have very few friends now that are alive but are suffering from depression and suicide and being bullied still to this day. And I want you guys to know there is a hope. You're not alone, and you can get through it. Don't make a permanent decision for a temporary problem, honestly, because you can have the same impact I'm hoping to have on you guys. Like, you share your stories. I honestly hope you never go through it, but that's just not realistic. So if you need to reach out to someone, I'm here. They're here. Your teachers are here. Just open up to someone.
What we're trying to get at is that you guys try to watch each other's back. Because a lot of us, except a couple of us, haven't been bullied here in this row, but a lot of us have, and it's affected us throughout our lives. And it's funny because the people that bully me and make fun of me and hurt my feelings, I try to navigate myself to be their friends, which is not the right thing to do. And I think when Joshua was sharing earlier, and Alyssa, parts of her share, is that we try to surround ourselves with people that have our same passion, our same dreams, and our same focus, our moral compass. Those are the people that we want to hang out with. And I will tell you that is absolutely true. My mother used to tell me that. I never believed her.
You know, the bullying thing that we were talking about, there wasn't a lot of physical bullying in my story, but there was a lot of pressure to fit in. You know, and that happened a lot with cyberbullying. And that's something that our generation, we feel like our parents don't really understand, because we have this pressure to have this, how many like followers we have on social media, and if we're getting enough likes, and that pressure to be the best of the best is really draining emotionally for us, because we're constantly competing with others when we're all on this together.
How many of you just wanted to fit in? many of you guys struggle with that, just wanting to fit in. What should you do instead? Because that's not obviously the right way to go about fitting in.
Be you,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Be
it.
you.
Be
There's
yourself.
there's other ways to fit in.
Focus on that.
Yes.
Jason started smoking and drinking at 14.
Okay. Okay.
Started partying and shit. Freshman year.
Well, 13?
14.
14? 14. When did you start?
12 or 13.
Same?
12.
12. David, when did you start?
Oh, no, 7.
7?
13,
13, 14?
12.
12.
12, 13.
12, 13.
10.
10. Pretty good. 10. Okay, you guys are smart out there. What's the average range? 12, 13? 12, 13. And then how old are you guys? 14? So they already started. So I'm not pointing anybody out, but I'm thinking like maybe one maybe already kind of started a little bit. I don't know. I'm just so this disease is starting before you guys' age, right? You just heard it. That's the truth.
I was tired of being sick all the time. You know, the drugs that I like to use made me very sick if I didn't have them. I was always a very popular person, and in the end, I was just very much alone. I had nobody in my life. I barely had my parents hanging on. And I was in and out of jail, And it was just the last time I got arrested, I was just, I was done. I didn't want to live like that. I didn't want to, either wanted to die or try to get some help.
I'm at the end of the rope. I mean, I've done so many horrible things to my parents, stole from them, yelled, insanity, just yelling at them every day. It was just insane, honestly. And I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I'm at the end of the rope. Like, I have no more chances. Like, if I use again, I'll be sleeping out on the streets, and I'll have no one, and I won't be able to go to rehab because my insurance is pretty much like done with me going to rehabs. So I'm at the end of the line. It's now or never. I have to get a year, so I'm more motivated than I ever been to stay sober, and I'm pretty happy right now. Usually I'm like depressed and like super negative. I'm a very negative person, but since I've been praying to God like 3 times a day, I feel like happy and not depressed and feel really good. It's kind of amazing, honestly. I never thought in sobriety I would feel this good, and if I can continue feeling this good, I think I have a high chance of staying sober.
Like, he saw me at my worst at 3 years old, and he said that I was scary and I was a monster because I was hysterical and crying and screaming all the time. And then I lost custody of him shortly after that, and then it clicked in my head that I am never going to be in my son's life, and he's not going to have his mom like growing up if I continue to drink and use. And so that's when I checked myself into treatment for the 3rd time, and I did everything that was suggested and how to stay sober, and now I have a little over 3.5 years. My son too, like I said, he said that I was a scary monster when he was 3 years old. The week that I had a year sober, he told me, "Mommy, you're not a monster anymore, and I love you." And that's when I knew that my higher power and the 12 steps that I had has been working in my life.
I don't know, I got tired of seeing my life just kind of fall apart. Tired of going to jail. I know I have my whole life ahead of me.
What was the turning point?
Last time I went to jail.
How was that?
Sucked, man. I blacked out in public. I don't know.
I have 2 weeks. I just got out of Orange County Jail.
He's live.
Jail.
He's
I was in Theo Lacey facility. It's not a fun place to be, that's for sure. I don't like living in a barracks with 300 guys I do not know. do not trust. But that's where my addiction and alcoholism leads me. When I drink and do drugs, I end up in jail. And it's not cool. It's not fun. I used to think it was cool. Like when I was 17, I did 18 months in Rikers Island in New York, and I thought, oh yeah, I just got out of jail. What's up? You know, like, but that was not cool at all. You know? I also have kidney stones. I've had multiple broken bones, multiple car accidents. I've been ejected from a car twice, and all from innocent drinking and using drugs, marijuana, painkillers that led me to hospitalizations and jail. I know it all seems innocent at first, like you're doing a party on Friday night after the football game, or, you know, whatever. Your friends' parents are out of town for the weekend, you know, but you never know what's going to lead you.
On January 15th of this year, I got my first DUI at the age of 21. I blew 4 times the legal limit. I was in a blackout. I didn't realize that I was driving, and I woke up in a jail cell. So the legal limit is .08. I blew a .32, which is a lethal level to not only be like alive and functioning, but to be driving a car. You know, I've been hospitalized multiple times because of my alcoholism. Similar to her story, I was a blackout drinker. I woke up the next morning not having any idea what I've done, what I've said. I had to call my friends and ask, you know, what I did and said, and I was just so powerless over what I was doing, you know, and for a long time I used to take pride in that, you know, like I was the designated drunk driver, and looking back now, it's not cool. It's not cool to be driving around with your friends, drinking, smoking weed, you know, getting yourself into trouble, because it comes back to you and it bites you hard. You know, you might not get caught the first time, second time, 10th time, it doesn't matter, it'll catch up to you, I promise, and it's just really not worth it. I have 9 months. I got sober the day after my DUI happened. I've been sober since, and now I'm a house manager of a sober living, and I get to help other women in recovery. And it's a really rad feeling, and I have a beautiful life today since I've gotten sober, and I'm really thankful for it.
I just always wanted to fit in. Yeah, that was my, I don't know. I think there's been just so many turning points, because I've had so many incidents and rehabs, you know, where I have so many turning points. You know, it's like I'm gonna turn a new leaf, but like I don't know.
You join a gang. Okay, I'm gonna turn a new leaf, but I'll join a gang, right? How old were you when you started this?
I was 13.
13?
Yeah.
And then how long were you involved with your gang?
I've been affiliated for probably the past 4 years.
And they're
in Atlanta, yeah.
And then well known throughout everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't take off my shirt at the beach. I have a tattoo. Can't take off my shirt at the beach. Nothing. I don't want to, you know.
Do you regret that?
Yes, all the time.
And there's nothing that you just it wasn't. We don't make great decisions.
No, and especially when I'm under the influence of alcohol, I make terrible decisions. Try this, try that. Let's go drive. You know, it's and like that's the scariest part. Like I'm blessed, honestly. I mean, it could happen to any one of y'all.
Drugs and alcohol seem to work very well for all of us because it was easy. It was an easy solution because we up here did not have a solution. We didn't have a solution. Drugs and alcohol was our solution.
Also, like what you said, communication. I didn't talk to anyone about anything. I just kept it all inside, numbed myself with drugs and alcohol. And then I should have like continued surfing or find other activities that I can release my anger and my, release my emotions out in a positive way instead of just numbing myself.
Like I would have done anything possible I can to study and to achieve myself, save my money, be like a good steward, be helpful to my parents, be helpful to my friend that needs help, give my time to charities, whatever it would be to be of service to others, right? Totally, like I would do that. And I was a great surfer and a great skateboarder, and I would have achieved in that. I was a great tennis player too, football, baseball. I played a lot of sports in school, and I would have achieved myself in that direction, because that would have been important later on for my future.
I don't know, never started doing cocaine or heroin. I was focused on football since I had 3 D1 offers, scholarships.
So focus on your dreams and focus on your passions.
Yeah, because I was doing fine in school at a 3.7 GPA.
More importantly for me, what I would change would be to tell myself to follow my gut more. I put myself in a lot of situations where I felt like deep inside that I knew probably wasn't the best option, but I still did it anyway. You know, I didn't listen to that moral compass that I have. And I wasn't doing things that made me feel good inside. And eventually, like, it just deteriorated my whole being and my self-worth. So I definitely tell myself that, you know, I am enough, I'm worth it, and to definitely follow my gut in situations where I'm feeling kind of iffy.
Not trying to be too cool for school. I wasn't great at school. Sober and on drugs, never great at school. That's alright, you know, I'm just not good at school. But, you know, I would have actually tried, at least made it look like I cared. I just didn't even care.
God, that should be the number one rule that kids are born with. We don't care what.
I know.
Yeah, you know what? I totally get that. I wish that.
Trying to
That's hard.
be something that you're not, yeah. It's not a good look at all.
What would you have done differently?
I would have reached out, because, you know, at that age, like I said, I started at 10 years old. You know, I was in 3rd grade. You know, I would have reached out to somebody, because if I would have reached out, I would have never picked up that, you know, whether I reached out to my mom, whether I came to school and reached out to a teacher, you know, a counselor, principal, superintendent, you know.
If someone had come to me, like what I want to share is, like, I wish I could have advocated for myself. I wish I could have said, I need help, right? Because drugs and alcohol weren't a problem for me at your age. They were my solution. You know, if I'd shown you my house and my drunk mother who's like throwing wine bottles around at night and stuff like that, and a father didn't want to be around me, right? When I started getting high, that was my solution. Now, you all may have perfect homes and nobody's ever had a bad thought or ever heard an argument or whatever, but I can tell you that alcohol was the solution for me. And so what I want to share with you is if you can advocate, right? Because that would have made the difference for me. Instead of just kind of going with the flow. The thing that I didn't know is that there's so many people that would be willing to help me. All I had to do was just ask.
To find somebody that you can talk to. It's okay for you to find somebody to talk to reach out to, and ask for help, or ask for guidance, or ask for a direction, or ask for what should I do. Because we're all here talking to you to get you to another level to go, and somebody else will guide you to another level.
You know, the only way to stay sober is to help others, and that's what these people are up here doing. So.
You know, I'm grateful to be here to share my experience in hopes that maybe you guys can take something from one of our stories and kind of shape your life away from the road that we went down.
You guys are really young and you have that time to change and turn your life around, and if you're already on the right path, keep doing what you're doing. There are things that you guys can do to better your lives, and that's staying away from those negative people, not listening to peer pressure, not listening to people telling you you're not good enough, because the person that you are is perfect, and it doesn't have to be someone else's idea of perfect.
Oh, there's a stick.
You know what? We want to thank you. Go ahead.